Hi friends, this week we're in Joshua Tree National Park, and today we're setting out on a hike with a somewhat spooky name. Join me as we set our fears aside and venture out to the slot canyons in the Hall of Horrors. If you're new here to Flying Dawn Marie, welcome. As a travel blogger, I share new adventures with you every week on my website, flyingdawnmarie.com. And these YouTube videos bring you along with me for a virtual visit. So make sure to turn on notifications, like and subscribe, and let's explore together. At the trailhead is a small parking area with a vault toilet and a few dozen parking spots, which do tend to fill up early, so I would recommend visiting this area earlier in the morning, especially if you're planning a weekend trip here. Try not to let the name Hall of Horrors frighten you. This is a popular area for visitors to explore, and the loop trail that takes you to the boulder pile containing the slot canyons is less than a mile with barely any elevation change. However, if you do have issues with tight spaces, this might not be the adventure for you. And if you're not sure, that's okay. Let's go check it out together so you can assess if this is a hike you'd enjoy on your next Joshua Tree trip. Some visitors think it can be a bit tricky to find the actual slot canyons here, so I personally suggest hiking this loop clockwise, which can help you locate the entrance of the slot along your way. This trail starts by taking us around a large pile rock formation. However, this isn't where the slots are. They're around the back side of the large rock pile, and then we find a smaller group of boulders. Now that's where we'll actually enter the Hall of Horrors slot canyons. Along your hike, don't be surprised to see rock climbers with their gear. Much of Joshua Tree is ideal for climbing, and these rock formations are no exception. It's been said that Hall of Horrors was likely named by past climbers who explored the climbing routes here. If you determine that the tight spaces here just aren't your jam, there's still a wonderfully pleasant hike with impressive views of boulder formations and towering Joshua trees. It's still worthy of a stop, but if the Sound of Slot Canyon adventures really tickles your fancy, then that's where we're going to be heading. Here you can see the large boulder formation to the right, and as we make our way around it, the smaller boulder formation comes into view directly in front of us. Now, when you reach the second smaller boulder pile, the Hall of Horrors entrance is located along the southwest corner where the rocks dip down. But before you enter the slots, you may need to do just a bit of scrambling. Let's check it out. Today, I'm excited to take my Insta360 X3 inside these Joshua Tree slot canyons. I can't wait to show you what it looks like. Hall of Horrors is actually comprised of two slot canyons which are side by side and separated by tall, vertically positioned boulders. Now, the one to the right is wider and the one to the left is considerably more narrow, so you might want to start with the one on the right and see if you're comfortable there first. As you head into the first slot, make sure you're comfortable scrambling down because you're gonna have to scramble back up. So making it both directions is pretty important here. A large boulder marks the hopping down point to get into this slot canyon, and you're surrounded by the towering, tall slot canyon walls. Making it down into this slot is the most perilous part. Then you're off to explore this fascinating slot. The wider slot canyon to the right is a great place to start to see if you're comfortable in these slot canyons, and also the ground is a bit more comfortable and stable on this particular slot. Don't be surprised to see evidence of rock climbers in this larger slot canyon because it is a popular place for rock climbers to hang out. This Hall of Horrors slot canyon measures at just over 4 feet across in width at the widest spots as the walls tower on each side of you. I'm also going to show a little behind the scenes of Nate here with my Insta360 invisible extended selfie stick. Because Joshua Tree National Park does not allow drones, this is a great way to capture the scale of these slot canyons while honoring the park rules and not bringing a drone into the park. Once you're done exploring here, you can head out the way you came and get ready to explore the more narrow slot canyon, if you're up for it. I think it's super important to mention that the slot canyon further on the left is considerably more narrow in spots than the larger canyon to the right. So if you feel at all claustrophobic in the right canyon, this could make you feel even more uncomfortable. It's less than a foot wide in some spots. This second slot canyon is so narrow, it closes in at 6 inches, so you really have to slide through. I want to take a moment to use my Insta360 invisible selfie stick to give you a view of this more narrow slot canyon from above so you can see how it really closes in here. Multiple sections are less than a foot in width all the way up, and even at its widest you won't find more than about 2.5 feet. Thankfully, Nate and I were the only ones inside this canyon while we were exploring, but with a larger party it could certainly be a tight squeeze here. And this isn't even the tight squeeze. This second tighter slot canyon is not for those who are claustrophobic. It is really something. If you are up for the second tight, narrow slot canyon, really try to scramble the entire way. There are some epic views at the far end. I love these slots. The tight spaces here almost remind me of another wonderful California state park. Inside Pinnacles National Park, the Balconies Cave, Talus Caves, has areas that remind me of these enclosures. It's so important to monitor your own personal skill level when exploring these slot canyons, because once you've made it all the way through, the only way out is to turn around and head back the way you came. When you're done squeezing through the Hall of Horrors slot canyons, or if you prefer to bypass them, you can continue around the loop for some beautiful Joshua Tree views. The loop around this giant boulder field is indeed easy, but proper footwear is incredibly important because the entire terrain is really soft and sandy here. If you determine that the tight spaces aren't your jam, this is still a wonderfully pleasant hike with impressive views of boulder fields and towering Joshua trees. Definitely a worthy stop. Thank you so much for joining me this week in Joshua Tree National Park. And for more detailed information on the Hall of Horrors, make sure to check out my full blog post at flyingdawnmarie.com, where I also have an entire Joshua Tree section with over a dozen dedicated posts. And I'd love to encourage you to check out Nate and I's Etsy shop, Suddenly See. It's where I got my Joshua Tree t-shirt. You can check out the t-shirt, mugs, National Park bucket lists. It's a lot of fun. If you did enjoy today's video, please hit that like button and subscribe. And until next week, I hope you find adventure and encouragement wherever you go. Bye.